Welcome, everybody. In case you don't know, it's March the 23rd. Time does go by. If you have phones on your person, please put them on airplane mode so that we don't overload the system. So I rang the bell. I think that's the part where you all stand up and put your masks on. There we go. Yeah, we're kind of out of practice for all this stuff, aren't we? All set. There we go. Now we move to the next slide. Please do remember about masks when you are not actively eating or drinking. You all saw the email. If you didn't, check your email. And if you don't have your email, check the trash. Terry Kelly.
I put my phone on. I can't read my email. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance and refer to the word I.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the
and
republic
to the republic for which it stands,
one nation
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Rod McCauley. Singing is bohemian, is it not?
Singing is straight back to the soul. We got Oscars coming up here. We do. The Oscars are around the corner here, so I thought we'd do a song that didn't get an Oscar for best song. So this is a wonderful day, even though it's a little hazy outside. Let's do Zippity-Doo-Dah. All right. Eyes on my hand.
Zippity-doo-dah.
what a wonderful day.
The sunshine
It's my way. Mr.
Bluebird on
Over.
It's the truth. It's actual. Everything is satisfaction.
Zippity-doo-dah, zippity.
Wonderful
Wonderful
feeling.
feeling, wonderful day.
Get the spell check fixed on your computer. Thank you, Rod. And thank you to Nick Randall and team. There's a bunch of people that show up here bright and early in the morning, even dark and early in the morning. Thank you for that. And Joyce, jump in your car, come on down. You're supposed to be helping us take down. Well, so we're going to need some help on takedown. That includes taking that table and sticking it back up here, washing up things and doing all the good stuff. But if you stay and help, it really does make it much nicer. Thank you to Linda Senke, and thank you to Lori and other people who were greeting. There was a nice little crowd over there, wasn't there? It's kind of nice to show up and have people saying hello. Thought for the day, Marty Webb.
I have been reminded this week of sacrifices that the Ukrainians have been doing for the rest of the free world. It reminds me of the famous statement to the British Parliament during World War II by Sir Winston Churchill. Speaking of the Royal Air Force pilots who defended the British Isles, never in the course of human event have so many owed so much to so few.
Well done. Thank you, Marty. So, visitors and guests. I believe we have a visitor at this table.
Our speaker this morning will be Dale Doherty, and you'll hear more about him when he's introduced later on in the meeting. Welcome, Dale.
And we are joined online by Joyce and Barbara and where is, oh, I don't see everybody up there. Jim Blum is up there.
Judy's up there.
And Judy, you're up there. And I think the rest might just be us in duplicate running the show. Time to mute all, though. I don't know how you do that with our new system. If you haven't paid, please do. We're a little bit behind in the money, and we need the money to pay the
Unmute David.
The Rotary Foundation is probably one of the not probably, it is one of the top 5 foundations in the world for efficiency and honesty and clarity and transparency. Meaning, there are a lot of organizations out there that are happy to take your money, and 85 or 90% of their fundraising goes to a professional organization that raises the money for those funds, and the amount that goes to the actual intended recipients is very little. Or they have very high paid staff and lots of them, or their giving efficiency just isn't very good. The Rotary Foundation is entirely different because there are very few paid staff members. It's $1 billion foundation, and so you have to have some people there that are managing that money, and they're responsible for that. But the rest of it, much of it is done by volunteers, and most of the funding that goes out of it is directed by Rotary clubs. Now, there are some bigger projects like solving polio, which the Rotary Foundation is in the process of getting done. But much of that funding goes out. Ours is not a really giant foundation compared to some others. Novo Nordisk and some of those others. These are multi-billion-dollar foundations. The Rotary Foundation is relatively small. That's because much of what we take in goes out the same year. Usually that's a 30-year process, but I'll talk about that later at some point. Right now, we'd like to show you a little video of some of the things that the Rotary Foundation is accomplishing.
and what you have been doing. So pray for me that this.
Rotary has never backed away from the hardest challenges because we're committed to a better, more equitable world. This year is no exception. Staying away from people and places we love in order to keep them safe. And despite the challenges, your generosity continued. Your donations provided more than $7 million to fund coronavirus relief projects in communities worldwide. And thanks to you, citizens of Kigali, Rwanda have their first public library. Women in rural Costa Rica are enriching their communities through social entrepreneurship. At-risk kids in Puerto Rico have an artistic outlet to heal their emotional traumas. Rotary and its partners have reduced 99.9% of polio cases worldwide. Thanks to you, the Rotary Foundation raised $408 million last year. So together, we can keep doing good in the world. Donors who take action help create lasting change. Our work isn't possible without you.
Thank you, Bill.
There you go.
We practiced that about 5 times last night. Share and- Yes.
I'd like to add one more thing. There are many organizations, American Cancer Society, Red Cross, you know where that money is going. The Boy Scouts. Thank you, Marty. The Rotary Foundation, we do have a very broad range of issues that we give to, but you can, if you want, when you make a donation to the Rotary Foundation, specify what you want it to go to. Rotary Foundation was one of the first organizations to start doing aid for Ukraine. And the CEO of the Rotary Foundation is John Huko, a Ukrainian. You know that money is going to be spent wisely, carefully, and quickly.
And on the screen here, and I can send this out later, you'll see 3 places that Rotary is specifically asking us to channel money. You can send it to the one that's at the top. That's about health professionals. Dr. Good made that suggestion to us, talking about how well they are doing in Ukraine and in the countries surrounding Ukraine, as people are arriving in the country and need medical care. Then the second one is, it looks a little longer, but through April 30th, if you go online and make a donation, all you need to do is Google Rotary, Rotary Foundation Disaster Response. Between now and April 30th, all donations that come in there are going towards Rotary's work in Ukraine. And then, of course, we've always got our a great favorite that we've donated to before, Shelter Box. They are waiting at the borders and they are helping people as they come through, carrying just what they could carry, and they set people up. So I'll send that out as an email for you in case you are interested in doing that. And some of our members have already contributed there. Very, very inspiring, and we're grateful to those who are doing that. Hey, Linda, it's Kathy. Damn it. She seems to be busy right now. Kathy, please stand up. There you go.
David, can I point out one thing?
Uh-oh.
The amount of bacon that DJ mixed up.
What? Oh, he does it as a rep. Yes, please do point that out. So Kathy, thank you very much for standing up. It's Richard's birthday on the 26th.
Richard celebrates his birthday for about a month straight.
Oh my God.
Yeah, me, I don't like it to even be mentioned, but yeah. So
What has he done thus far? Tell us his
he's
exploits.
just been going out and seeing all of his friends everywhere. Thursday, he's in Sacramento golfing. Fridays with his brother golfing. Saturday, we are going to Sausalito to his favorite shop and then taking the ferry, walking up to Chinatown. It just will keep continuing. And he's been thinking about it, let me tell you.
Were you in there somewhere?
Yeah, I'll be there Saturday.
And James Sudol, please. James' birthday is coming up on the 28th. I know you needed a reminder.
Yes, I did. You know, I married that woman, so her last name is Enzi now.
What?
Has been for a long time.
So,
I was at the wedding.
yes, you were.
Go figure.
I asked her what she wanted for her birthday, and she said, a washing machine. That's not very romantic. But,
Practical work.
I think I can make it work.
I've heard that it's not wise to decide to give a washing machine to your spouse, but if they volunteer for it, yeah,
Well, that was the question. So,
well, fabulous.
What's that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's working. Well, happy birthday to Richard, happy birthday to Jane. And membership anniversaries. Oh, Al, I tried to take Al's name off. He said he couldn't join us today, but Linda Sinke, March the 24th, 2004, a date that we should engrave in gold and put on the wall.
Of course I did. Technically I was inducted on St. Patrick's Day, so I know that to be, I know what that to be says, but it was St. Patrick's Day, a day I remember well. And thanks for the heads up about this anniversary. I did think about it a little bit, and what Bill Stauber said today was one of the things I was going to touch upon. So many things in the world that we feel powerless to do anything about. Rotary is something where I feel empowered. I know my talents, my efforts, my treasure is having a difference worldwide, collectively, and that gives me goosebumps. So that's my why. And I was also reflecting on my grown children who grew up with Rotary and saw mom serving. And when they do something Rotary-like, they call me and they say, Mom, I'm working on, I'm helping kids through the fire department. We're doing toy drives and this and that. So they inherited my love for service, and that warms my heart too. So don't keep it a secret. Share what you're doing out there, and let's bring some friends to join us, because that's how we'll grow. And everyone should have the opportunity to make a difference like us. So thank you, David.
Thank you, Linda. You are a treasure to us. Now let's go ahead and next week. Wayne and Z got married some time ago on the 23rd, it says. That's what I hear. And okay, so you've missed your first opportunity to celebrate the anniversary by bringing your wife out to breakfast. How are you going to make up for this?
Lunch.
I
hear there's oysters in the horizon. So
Well, there you go.
we're gonna go to lunch at the restaurant in the center of the
Lovely. Well, let us know. We'll all come by.
day. You're treating, huh? No.
Maybe. We're going to see in just a minute. We'll get to my little treat.
Yeah.
So congratulations on your
Okay.
wedding anniversary. I know that that's a happy marriage, and
Well, it's a long one.
Oh, yeah, I've heard jokes that go that direction.
Let's not. Oh, it's good. All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you. And do you notice how well Brian Ballard manages the camera and the mic? Yeah. You too could have that job. Wait, don't look up his dress. Magic moments happen out here. This is our hiking group. Who wants to say where you went? 3, 2, 1. They went to St. Dorothy's Rest. And Jerry, that's your daughter and her wife, right?
Yes, yeah, that's my younger daughter.
My younger daughter, Audrey, and who's in graduate school at Monterey, and her wife is living in, still lives in Maryland, came out for spring break for her. And that's Aliza. So it was wonderful to have them on the hike with us.
Lovely, great to bring family. Monday mornings, get up early, very healthy, and talk about healthy. Bob Keyser You are one healthy guy. He's out hiking, he's out working. What happened here?
That was not my intention. My intention was to supervise. The reality was we were putting in trees. And so my takeaway is that for the rest of my life, I can look at those trees and say, I planted them.
And this is the series project, right?
A series project just by the charter school by.
Yeah, you were helping them with their move-in migration. They're moving from the property that they were working with, and they're now over at the charter school up off of 116.
And it's an acre and a half lot, so there's a lot of space.
Yeah, fabulous. Feeds a lot of people. So thank you for volunteering and for being there for that. So after 37 years of living right here in Sebastopol, these 3 trucks took all my personal belongings over to Santa Rosa, and I couldn't stop them. So I've moved into a house in Santa Rosa so that I can get up bright and earlier to get down here and get to work. I believe that I am due a fine. Please go over to Michael and find out. Well, can you just give him my wallet and he takes out whatever he's.
You might as well just hand it all over. David.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Just
Yeah, I
give
think
him the
100.
wallet. It's okay.
I think about 100 out of 2.
I think 100 is more than fair. You're far too kind.
Oh, good.
Can I direct it as I wish?
You may.
I'm going to put it into one of those 3 funds that we looked at with the Rotary Foundation. So it will be headed to Ukraine and saving lives. Whoops, we'll do that one later. You almost saw the big secret. A big thank you to Linda Taylor, who's been arranging some sunshine and thus far has shown the light on Kathy Gilliam and Phyllis Meshalem, both who are moving along and hopefully doing better. And Jerry, you said that there was something you wanted to say at this moment, if you would please.
Yeah, thank you. Phyllis told me yesterday she had a beautiful bouquet delivered to her room in Apple Valley, and from her friends at Rotary, and it really brightened her day. And I'm hoping she may get out on Saturday if she does well today at her evaluation. But in appreciation, I am going to make a donation to the Rotary Fund for Ukraine. And thank you, Club, for what you do.
Out to her and to you. It's a lot to be the spouse of somebody who is working on things, and to you, Jim, and to Kathy. So, an attitude of gratitude. Do we have things? Do you have things that you are grateful for? Things that make you feel good that you want to share? And remember, you can make a contribution to the Rotary Foundation, the Club Foundation, or just commit privately or publicly to do some act of kindness and good in this world. So many opportunities. Anybody volunteering today? I see Dan Needham.
Well, I wanted to say thank you for, we've had so many hands-on volunteer experiences and opportunities this month. So I should have initially put them all under one list and called it March Madness. So we've had the series project. Thanks for Bob for being there. We've had the post office landscape cleanup. And so we have a good number of Rotarians there. We're going to try to finish that up on April 3rd. There's still a little bit of weeding to do and a bunch of mulch that we're going to distribute. So if people want to mark off Sunday morning, April 3rd, that would be great to have some hands there for that. We've got the Redwood Empire Food Bank slot this afternoon from 2 to 4, if anybody has that available. And so we've been busy doing all kinds of stuff. I want to thank everybody that's done that, and I'll celebrate that by doing $100 to the Rotary Foundation.
Thank you very much, and for helping us to be able to do all of that wonderful volunteer stuff. It's awesome. And Linton Hale.
Well,
I am thankful to my wife and the Sunridge Charter School. She's going through, it's a big deal to play every year. And they're doing a play about pirates. And two women pirates who are famous, and Anne Bonny and forgot the other name, not that famous, I guess. But it's been an amazing and challenging year for teachers. And so thanks to them.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Thank you very much. Anybody else before I was? Michael Cook and
I am just so thankful that I'm learning how to use this mic. I'm so thankful that we live in this bubble called Sebastopol in Sonoma County. And I have been going to send $100 to Doctors Without Borders because they're my #1 charity. But learning about these options, as soon as I get your email, David Mark Raymond, I'll be sending my money to the Rotary at the place, the box thing. So thank you.
wonderful. Thank you. And Mr. Cook.
Yeah, I was struck when I was doing the report, the monthly report to the board of directors about international service, that the International Service Committee this year has been really fantastic. I mean, Jerry and Barbara and I have been doing this a long time, but we have a whole phalanx of newer members who are creating projects, working on them. Joyce on Echo and John Greck, who's in Ecuador right now. And Martin Tattersall was also looking to do a hands-on project in Sri Lanka. So we're moving on more fronts than we otherwise would. So I'm grateful for that posse of people involved in international service.
All right. Anybody else before we move to the next slide?
I'll do one.
All right.
So my oldest son, who I guess he didn't exchange, I'm attending Rotary stuff, he did exchange one somewhere, a short-term exchange. He was chief analytic officer of a startup, and they were acquired last week. So it's pretty cool.
Usually getting acquired that means real money, right?
Yeah, maybe he'll give the foundation.
I think that's a good idea. Follow Linda's example and just say, here's something you can do that's highly efficient, just like Phil said. Well, congratulations to him and to your family and for raising such a wonderful boy. Wow. Anybody else? Okay, put all this on your calendar. Ready, set, go. Today at 8:30, International Committee meets hybrid. So hang in there, you hybrid folk, if you want to join the International Committee. And today, 2 to 4, as Dan said, go to our club website, look at the calendar, pop on to today, and sign up and show up at the Redwood Empire Food Bank. March 2nd or March 25th, I kept thinking there's something, and I never did get it and I fell asleep. April 1st, K&L Bistro. April 1st and 2nd, if you want to go and spend the night in Ukiah, and who doesn't want to do that? District Training Assembly, $50. We will pay your way. You just need to let us know that you are going, because that is part of what the club does. It sponsors you to go and learn about all things Rotary. It's a vast world out there, and Rotary does a lot of complex things. Coming up on April 4th, 5:30, Community Services Committee. April 9th, Helping Out People. Where's the other part of the parentheses? April 12th, 5:30, Membership Committee. April 18th, Board of Directors, all are invited. And April 23rd, 24th, Diana, you'll keep us posted on what's going on for the Apple Blossom Parade and Festival. Let's show out both days. Oh, Brian, you did ask you did make a special request.
The other thing that we need, I'm on the Chamber of Commerce board. We need volunteers, and I'm going to send Michael the link for that. We're short right now, so it's Saturday and Sunday, but there are 2 or 3 hour slots. And we'd love to have some Rotarians there, as well as some Interact kids as well.
Okay, I think we're going to need to skip announcements. We can jump on at the end of the meeting. Don't forget that you can register for going to that assembly. There's the 23rd, 24th. Oh, all you can eat crab right here. You can either take out or you can eat in this place. There are flyers on the exterior of the building. Next week, we're going to hear from Deb St. Cyr, Redwood Trails Alliance. But this week, we're going to hear from a famous local citizen, Dale Doherty, introduced by Charlotte.
Okay. Before I introduce Dale, I got to tell you how he came to my attention. Before there was a Google search engine, before regular companies like mine could connect to the beginnings of the internet, there was this communications protocol called UUCP, and it connected computers around the world to use email. It was all dial-up stuff, and it was quite elegant, but it was very temperamental, and I had trouble keeping it working. And in those days, the only way to get help with something like that was to buy a book. But I had not been able to find one, and I happened to be in Atlanta and went to a technical bookstore, and there was the perfect book called Using UUCP by Dale Doherty of Sebastopol. So thank you for that book. UUCP ran fine after reading that book. So Dale is the leading advocate of the maker movement. He founded Make magazine in 2005, which first used the term makers to describe people who enjoy hands-on work and play. He started Maker Fair in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2006, and this event has spread to nearly 200 locations in 40 countries, with over 1.5 million attendees annually up until COVID-19 hit. He's president of a Make community, which seeks to nurture and grow the worldwide community of makers through publications, events, and online resources. And he's also the author of Free to Make, How the Maker Movement is Changing Our Jobs, Schools, and Minds with Adrian Kahn. Prior to Make, Doherty was a co-founder of O'Reilly Media, where he was an editor of many early technical books, as I discovered. While at O'Reilly, he developed GNN, the first commercial website, and GNN, which launched in 1993, was sold to AOL in 1995. So Dale, away you go. Thanks.
There we go. Good morning, everyone. Hope folks on Zoom can hear me. No, this is an informal talk. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the maker movement and some of what I've done over the years, and happy to have questions and talks. But about 2004, 5, I had an idea of that people, even in this digital world, were making physical things, and sometimes those physical things were connecting to that digital world. But that people like to tinker, like to play with things, and and much like a cooking magazine has recipes on the left below you how to cook it. I thought I'd come up with a magazine which I call Make, and about projects, things that you can do at home with technology, but really any kind of tools and materials. And I think I came up with the word make. I thought, well, I want to call
readers makers. I'm just going to refer to them that way. And that sort of, it's kind of proven to be like an umbrella term that includes lots of different things underneath it. But it also connects those people who do different things. They might be doing ceramics and they might be doing robotics, and to actually get them to see each other. And that's kind of what we did with Maker Faire, is to bring all those people together with their projects and just like a science fair, art fair, craft fair, just encourage them to share what they do and have a great conversation with other people who care about those things. And I was always struck by how we don't have often the opportunity to meet people like this, even though they're in your neighborhood, but they work in their garage or their backyard. They've got some project, and I wanted to help make that public, and to help other people learn from that, and other people get involved doing something that they really enjoy. So the magazine tends to have projects that you could do yourself, like those recipes I referred to. Maker Faire just has a lot of amazing projects. Our current issue, it's number 80, so that tells you kind of how long we've been doing it. It's a quarterly, is on repair. And there's always been people who like to fix things, but good. Nice to see that. Yeah, but and I call them, like all makers, I call them enthusiasts. They just find it interesting to do that. Now, most people, unfortunately, don't think that way. They throw things away that still could be fixed or that could be reused in other ways. And that's obviously just adding to our landfills. Think about, I use this analogy, think about if the only car you could buy was a new car, right? There weren't used cars out there. If people needed to fix cars and keep it going for years and years and years. Think about the people who buy used cars, they couldn't afford new cars. So, there's a lot of things in our life that are like that. We can, it may serve your purpose for 3 years, but it might serve someone else's purpose for just as long if we're able to fix it and extend its life. But what's happening, what we call this the war on repair, is that manufacturers have made it harder to fix things. They have decided that you shouldn't be able to do that, that either they don't allow it or they make it extremely difficult. You have to send it to them and use their service to do it. So just like you might have a mechanic down the street here that could fix your car, well, the new Teslas require you to take them to a Tesla dealer. You can't find someone else to work on it, partially because they don't have access to the digital technology behind the computerized technology, the Tesla. They can't plug in and get the diagnostics. So there are laws in Massachusetts trying to change that. So there's a series of laws called right to repair that are trying to get passed, to protect citizens' rights to repair things. And again, manufacturers have lined up. They have a lot of money to lobby state legislatures and are really opposing right to repair laws. They use arguments like, well, you might hurt yourself, or people don't know what they're doing, right? Yet, some people do know what they're doing. And I think this is a theme throughout this magazine when I kind of discovered what it was really about. Is in some ways, I wanted people to see themselves as makers, not just consumers. And consumerism is a kind of disabling force that you need to buy something, that you're not happy unless you can go out and get something. Whereas the creative process of making something is satisfying, even if the project fails you. The thing that you make is valuable. It's how you spend your time. I connected a lot to play, and again, you're all adults in this room, and you might think you got out of that. But when I started the magazine, I thought, it's important that adults play. And sometimes I see some heads nodding. Some people do it with crafting. Some do it with tinkering, some do it with woodworking, whatever, but to have projects to do, to be useful to yourself, is really a great thing. I think in the day of the internet and everything bombarding us, play gives us a kind of a space where we're alone doing something productive and we enjoy it. The time itself is valuable. So, and we tend to be single-minded. So that's our issue on repair. And I was going to mention also that we publish books. So I can put these both down in a minute, but this is on the Arduino, which we kind of benefited that there was a lot of technology that's grown up over these, 17 years that are kind of hobbyist or, cheap technology to build things. This is a board, an electronics board. It's about the size of a credit card that you can plug things into and operate something. Now you can do that with a computer, but a computer is increasingly a bigger thing, and this costs about $35. And you can, create. Sorry, we'll go there again. Believe me, that is somewhere you don't want to go. Yeah, exactly. I will never get those books back. But it's one of the things that I think the maker movement represents is the democratization of technology, of what happens when things are, accessible, standardized, and affordable. You can put that in lots of different things. You could do it to run a gardening controller to measure, water and humidity and other things, having sensors connect to that board. So electronics is a big piece of what the maker movement is. So is 3D printing, we'll call it more broadly digital fabrication, CNC machines, laser cutters, and 3D printing. And makers are the kind of people that bought 3D printers to figure out what you could do with 3D printers, as opposed to consumers who would wait until they could figure out exactly what it is that 3D printing is useful for, and then they might buy one. But they wanted to play with it. They wanted to figure that out. It was about 2010, we had our first 3D printer on the cover, and it's kind of gone up and down. But the thing that we sometimes miss in this democratization phase, there's more 3D printers in the world today than ever, and it's being used more widely in ways that would really surprise you. So I want to give you an example and make this somewhat tangible. During COVID, I should preface this with saying one of the things I advocated a lot was the development of maker spaces, and these are places where you have access to the tools and materials. We have one in Sebastopol up at now West County High School. They have a maker space. I think Rotary has funded projects there. Thank you very much. And this was to give kids, largely we started, at then Annalee, was to give kids, an opportunity to do projects at school. And I'm going to come back to that, but when COVID hit, those maker spaces all shut down. Community maker spaces, school maker spaces. But, and in some ways you can say, boy, this is just a death blow to the maker movement. People can't get together, they can't get access to materials. But a lot of people had this stuff at home. At DePaul University, students and faculty took all the 3D printers home with them, and they set up shop. And there was a period, in particular of the beginning of the pandemic, when hospitals were running out of things that were critical to, now we have a lot of masks, but they were running out of masks. They were running out of what they call personal protective gear, equipment, and we couldn't get them because our world is designed around one or two places in the world making those things, and most of them are in China. And when those places were hit through the pandemic, we couldn't get those things. But hospital administrators are used to, just like we are, going on something like Amazon and ordering things and having shown up the next day. But they couldn't get these things. And so makerspaces began sharing designs for face shields and other kinds of equipment and making them locally, making them in our backyard. And you know, there was a doctor in Montana, Missoula, Montana, who was a neurosurgeon, and they told him he was gonna have to, they told all the staff, they were gonna have to re-wear the same mask for several days. He said, I'm a neurosurgeon. When I go in to do surgery, my mask is terrible. I can't do that. And so he came up with, started thinking, well, what could I make? He's not a maker by, you know, this thing. He has a friend who's a dentist who has a 3D printer, who has a son who's in engineering school somewhere. And the three of them put their heads together, and he designs a kind of mold that he can make with a 3D printer, and then cut up a regular mask and just put small bits of it in there and then change that out as he used. Ended up being called the Montana mask. And because this is the internet and the makers, he put that design online so other people could download it and make Montana mask in New Hampshire or New Mexico, wherever they wanted. And so one of the key ideas in this maker movement is that, you know, while we're talking about physical things, the designs are digital files. Those digital files can be sent anywhere. So if you have a good idea, and it might come from Czechoslovakia, as some of the face shields did, you can get that and you can, you know, 3D print it at home or in your neighborhood. Now in Chicago, for instance, they had a network of students, DePaul University in Chicago, who are making things, and they, you know, they went and they called the hospital and said, we can make some face shields for you. And administrators said, well, we can't take regulations, you know, whatever. So because they were a network of people, they began talking to their doctor and nurse friends. And they all said, we would love to take those masks and face shields. We'll bring them into the hospital. And so they not only made these things, but they figured out, they had a bunch of other friends who were bike messengers. When they made the masks and face shields, a bike messenger would come and pick them up, deliver them to the door of the emergency room physician at his home, who would pick it up and take it into the hospital. So, you know, just work kind of completely around the system to get this in. Yeah, right. And, you know, I think it's, you know, there was another, it's a doctor in Roseville, which is outside of Sacramento, and he sent me a picture that there's another kind of face thing where you pump air in. It's more complicated, but in his case, it looks like this, and it was a scuba mask. He said he and his son, they'd been to Maker Faire. They knew how to do it and like doing these things, and they hacked together things so they could put up, you know, an air supply and pump it into his mask. And he said, he wrote me, he said, you know, there was 6 weeks when we didn't have anything. And if we didn't have the makers and these solutions, we wouldn't have been able to, you know, help patients. We would have really had a much bigger problem than we did. So, and the last topic on this is, we mentioned Ukraine in the meetings here today. Well, I have a couple of young people there that have been producing maker fairs in Ukraine for several years. They've got 15 fairs in 5 different cities. And I was talking to them a couple of weeks ago. You know, the makers in Ukraine are helping repair military equipment. They're creating those barricades, the tank barricades that they're putting in the roads. And the point is, from that and from the COVID, is it's really useful to have makers in our presence, people that can do things. You know, that's part of why I think the maker movement is important, that we want to foster that talent and create a community around it. Now, I think the most important thing the maker movement has done, has achieved, is education. We have gotten those maker spaces into schools. It's not everything, but for a something that wasn't supported by the federal government or state governments largely. This has come in the side door. Teacher, like Casey Shea and Annalee, brought it in, said, I want to do this. I want to help these kids. And it's largely, I'm really interested. I did a talk recently. I said, give us your C students. I'm interested in the non-academic kids, or the kids that just don't function highly in the normal model of what school is today. Because it's not that they aren't smart, they just don't learn that way. And you give them a different way of learning, which is more hands-on and experiential. And that's what all this technology is, which is driving our world. They will outperform those on the academic tracks. But we need to still advocate for that. I don't think administrators largely understand the power of this, and sometimes they just don't care about serving kids. I was down but it's reached surprising places. Last week I spent a day in an Oakland elementary school that's adopted maker learning. And this is 99.9% kids that are Black and brown. And to see them applying that, giving those experiences to those kids, was incredible. It really, and it's a public school, it's not a charter school, it's a public school. And, but the way the world works drives you crazy. They got through COVID, they're getting back. January, February, Oakland School District announced that school is slated to close, shut it down. And it has a great faculty, great leadership, great programs that are innovative, led by and created by the teachers in that school. They want to shut that down and just move it somewhere else. So I'm working on a documentary on that. Hopefully we can do something about it. So, but I think it's so important. Where we've actually succeeded the best is higher ed. Most four-year schools have been building incredibly sophisticated maker spaces with alumni money, $40 billion buildings that have a maker space at the core of it. And Kent State, University of Maryland, I've been interviewing a lot of them, figuring out that. And part of it is they really understand that students need to apply what they learn, and it's not just what you know, it's what you can do with what you know. And kids have great ideas. I mean, kids in the broadest sense, all of us have great ideas. And so in many ways, the maker movement is a prototyping revolution. It's how to take that idea, that simple idea, and turn it into something real that you could share with other people and begin to talk about it as not just something in your head, but something that works. And it's just in its infancy, but it's stage one of that. And so that's what we're trying to accomplish with the maker movement and Make Magazine and all these things. So thank you very much. Yeah, I'll let you choose.
You have been so inspiring.
Thank you.
I'm going home and ordering that subscription for the Mr. Fix-It in my life.
Okay, good.
And also, as you talked about, kids in school can't learn more scholastically. I'm thinking of kids who have ADD, and I feel like that's what you're talking
Autism,
about.
everything, all those things. And we just have to, the most important thing is that we develop those kids. That's what schools should be doing, right? Is help them develop their talents and abilities, not just testing them and ranking them.
There might be a documentary right here. There's a school called El Molino closed. They have a phenomenal amount of resources there.
I know.
And the percentage of super handy, more blue collar along River Road and so forth is a beautiful opportunity to make a makerspace.
I've been trying to knock on doors. I would love to see El Molino turn into a maker school.
So Wayne and I here.
All right. I've been trying to find some people interested in that.
Just a couple of comments. Number one, as a youngster, maybe a 4-year-old, I got a handy Andy toolkit. And I want to tell you, you want to do something for somebody, put a tool in their hand as a youngster. It never left. The other thing is I was a director of technology at Sonoma County Office of Education.
Yeah.
And your books were used extensively
Yeah.
with students in our technology programs.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
The educational part, I think, is so critical, because there are a lot of people like myself who learn by actually doing things. And I have a lot more trouble, although I read a lot, learning things from reading. You got to get your hands wet.
Yeah.
And we've been supporting that. We've also done some things at Brookhaven and at Laguna and at Emily.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful program, and I encourage you to keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's been a struggle the last few years.
It has been, but I'd love to hear ideas about how we could, I think, whether it's Oakland or, Sebastopol, our schools are struggling, I think, but one of the things the Maker Movement represented was a grassroots effort to change those schools and make them better, not a top-down, federal program. And so I think that's the only way we're gonna change these schools, is that you come in and help them do different things.
That top-down program, which is sort of expedient from their perspective,
Yeah.
is not the right way.
No,
It's so
they
frustrating.
spent lots of money on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you personally. The Makerspace here in town had a music festival 4 years ago, and I mean, I could talk about Makerspace. I made this pen last week with Ariel.
Awesome.
I loved working with a wood lathe when I was in junior high school. It's the first time I've had to do it again, had a chance to do it again, because I had to do it. And what's amazed me about it is the intergenerational aspect of it. I think, when I went to the Maker Fair down in Palo Alto, or near the airport, San Mateo, there were like 10,000 people there, and everything from, tiny kids to retired professors, people from Burning Man, and just everyone interacting in this way that is really inspiring. And so, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Well, we're at the spot where we need to get ourselves on our way and get you about your busy life.
Thank you.
I had no idea how many things you were up to. Yeah, so thank you very much for I think you might appreciate to hear that we've donated books that are oriented towards diversity, equity, and inclusion to Parkside School. And we're going to inscribe one with your name in honor of your having been here with us today. So go on over to the school and check out your book. But thank you again. Glad to see you. Okay.
I'm not gonna use the microphone. I don't want to put it up to my mouth that everybody else has been communicating.
Yeah.
Now. So, sorry. Y'all can be careful in our own ways. So, I hope this is politically correct, so I'm not a joke person. Okay, a Hindu, a rabbi, and a Jehovah's Witness are lost. They wander across a farmstead and ask to spend the night. I only have room for 2. So one of you will have to sleep in the barn, says the farm owner. The Hindu immediately volunteers, insisting it's no problem. However, a few minutes later, he knocks on the door. I'm sorry, but there's a cow in the barn. They are sacred to me. No problem, says the rabbi. And he goes to the barn. Again, though, he returns and knocks. There is a pig in there, and that is against our teachings. I will go then, friend, says the Jehovah's Witness. And he proceeds to the barn. A few moments later, there's a knock at the door. It's the cow and the pig.
Rod, would you take us out? It's time for happy trails.
Happy trails to you. Keep smiling on till then. Happy trails.